these past few days. And we just thank the Lord that we are together. Today, we are looking at marriage killers. Tomorrow, we will look at builders. And then our week will be over on Friday. Proverbs 19, verse 20 says, "Listen to counsel and receive instruction, that you may be wise in your latter days." Proverbs 18:22 says, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord." And Proverbs 12:1-2a, it says, "Whoever loves instruction loves knowledge, but he who hates correction," it's a very strong word, it says, "is stupid. A good man obtains favor from the Lord." So we see here a good wife is from the Lord, and a good man also obtains favor from the Lord, meaning that he also comes from the Lord. No one coming from the marriage altar expects failure, and yet marriages fail. 50% permanently, 10% of the 50 experience separation, and 75% experience unfaithfulness. We have said here that 40% of the children live in single parents' homes. So the question is, why should marriages fail? People look so beautiful after the wedding. What goes wrong? Many may rush into it. I love counseling young people. And every time they come for counseling, they excite me because they come very happy, excited, hand in hand. And when you offer them a seat, they sit so closely, you wonder if they're going to sit on each other. They are in love, or they claim. But once they are in it, some of them, they can hardly wait to get out. So the problem that we find in marriage, what is the problem? Problem number one that kills marriage is selfishness. And I want to say problem number two is also selfishness. And number three is selfishness. There are two kinds of people, the giver and the taker. I want to remind all the married tonight, you may have never thought of it, but when you are getting married, if you're a man, you looked at all the men in the world, and you looked at your beautiful bride, and you realized that you are the only man alive who could enter into her life and help her develop her full potential as God intended it to be. And if you are a lady, you looked at all the women in the world, and you looked at your friend, and you realized that you are the only one, the only woman alive who could enter into his life to help him develop to the full potential as God intended his life to be. So with this kind of understanding, that you enter into marriage, you are not entering into marriage with a feeling that you are going to receive, but you are entering into marriage with a feeling that you are giving. It is more blessed to give than to receive. I have already said here that marriage is an empty box, and whatever you put into it, that is what you get. If you want to put kindness, you reap kindness. If you put selfishness, that is what you get. There is no miracle. because marriage is like a plant. When you nurture it, it grows. When you neglect it, it dies. And so we want to look at some of the challenges, the top killers that we find in marriage. Killer number one is immaturity. Immature people cannot enjoy the price of marriage. Immature people fall in love with themselves. They sit on the throne of their hearts. And I've told young people many times that there are people who marry for the wrong reason. They marry for the wrong reason because a lot of times I ask, why do you want to marry this person? And they come with a long list of things. The person is so beautiful. The person is very, very kind. The person is a good Christian. And they will come with a long list of things. And then I say, you love the person? Yes. What's the percentage? 1 to 10. And even tonight, I want to ask all of you, where would you rate your marriage? 1 to 10. 5, 8, 9, 10, 1. You know it. The young people will say, I love this person 10 out of 10. I say, all of it. You're not reserving anything. They'll say, no, I'm giving it all. And then I ask the next question, what happens if one day you wake up and you realize that this person that you loved so much is not the one because they have changed completely? Would you still love 10 out of 10? Then the question begins to go down. So I ask tonight, what is love? Because for the married, you are told, I love you. And every time your friend told you how much he loved you, you felt so good. And every time this lady responded in kindness, you felt so good. So I asked the question, what is love? Of course, we will quote the Bible. Love is kind, love is long-suffering, and all the beautiful attributes of love. And if the person changes, will you still love that person? 100%, 10 over 10, will you? I will define love tomorrow. So don't miss when we'll be talking about the great builders of marriage. So point number 2 that brings in a challenge to marriage is family background, control. There are people who are coming from a background where there was a lot of control. Everybody seems to be either in charge. We have already given out the 6 types of families that we have. And if you have to come from the family where there was a lot of control, you may want to still extend that, and that becomes a problem. Another one is blame. When there is a blame game in marriage, no one wins because the accuser does not want to take up responsibility, and the accused loses peace of mind. So you find there is a problem here. Another point here with the background is pride. There are people who are proud. The people who are proud, who can never say they are sorry, they can never take up responsibility. Or there are people who are not willing to reach out to appreciate other people. We call them the almost people. Acts 26, verse 28, talking about Paul with Agrippa, where Paul talked with Agrippa about his conversion, and King Agrippa said to Paul, you almost persuaded me to become a Christian. The almost people are people who never make it to the finishing line. These are people that we find in Matthew 7, verse 22, where they come to the Lord and they say, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? And then Jesus says, I will say to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. The almost people are lost. The almost people are people who say, you know, I almost apologized to my wife today. I almost said good morning to my wife or to my husband. I almost thanked her for the nice meal that I enjoyed. Or I almost expressed appreciation for a work well done. The almost people are proud people. They will say, I never saw my father do it. In my family, we never do those things. We never take note of those little things. So almost people are just there. They cannot take time to appreciate what the other person has done. The next point is unreliability. There are people who are so unreliable, you cannot trust them. Another challenge that we find that kills marriage is the unrealistic expectations. I want to say, be real. Life is real and life is honest. Many years ago, I worked with one lady who introduced herself as a manager's wife. And every time as we gathered together as colleagues where we worked and we would eat lunch together, she would pass by and say, you know, I'm a manager's wife. I can't eat things like this. But you know, even the kind of food that you people are eating, even my dog can't eat that. I am a manager's wife. You know, as a manager's wife, I must dress in this manner. I must drive this car. I must go to the stores like this. And even the church where I go to is completely different. I'm a manager's wife. Life is easy when we are up on the mountain, but things change when we suddenly find ourselves in the valley. The manager could not keep or maintain the manager's wife's demands. So he had to look for other ways to sustain the manager's wife, not necessarily the family, but the manager's wife. And so as he decided to look for other income, he decided that he would get into this drug peddling, and so he would go out there and get some drugs and you know, sell and get extra money. It was good money to keep the manager's wives and realistic expectations. Unfortunately, one time he went, shoot, they don't let them come out. But at that time, they were arrested and they were jailed. This man remained out there for 5 years. And by the time he came back, he found that the manager's wife had taken off with another manager and went away. When I finally met that manager's wife in another part of the world, she was the most miserable person, because I believe even that manager could not keep up with her demands. Unrealistic demands is not only about women. Unrealistic demands can also be with men, that a man would want the wife to work here, do locum there, and take that business out there because we must keep up with the rest of the world. And so at the end of the day, you find that the children are left out there without the parents because the parents are busy collecting money. And at the end of the day, they will spend that money looking for the children, but the children will have gone. So I want to say to all of us, give your expectations to the Lord. When you expect too much from your mate, Your mate cannot meet all your demands because they're only human beings. Only God can meet our expectations. But even God will not give us everything we want down here. So we should avoid self-worship by making unnecessary demands. The next point that I want to mention is inability to enjoy life. Choosing to be miserable. When you choose to be miserable, you are a robber. You are a thief. Because you are not only stealing your joy, but you are stealing your mate's joy. And you are stealing the children's joy and everybody who lives in this home. Because there are people, I want to say that they are both lion and otter by personality. If you are a lion and you are an otter by personality, and this person chooses to use the otter type, he will be pleasant to everybody out there. He will be so sweet in church. He will be so sweet at the office. Everybody in the community will love them, and they will just be just nice to be around. But when they come home, they are lion. It is nail by mouth. They don't care on what they step on to get what they want. And so the people who are in the house are basically slaves or stepping steps where the lion steps to get what he wants or what she wants. And this is what I said, that if a home is controlled by the man or controlled by the woman or controlled by the children, it becomes a difficult home. The home that we need is a home that is Christ-centered. So here, if you have an otter and you complain, for example, you are a golden retriever woman and you have an lion otter, and you complain to the pastor, you know, my husband, when he comes home, he does not even talk to us. It is just nail by mouth. Nobody can laugh in that home. The pastor will say, no, you are kidding, because Mr. Muga is such a pleasant man. I'm using my husband's name because he will not be offended. He is such a pleasant person. You must be the wrong one. No, but this one chooses to be nice out there, but not nice in the home. I want to say that understand your own personality. And after you have understood your personality, then balance your personality. A lion would be a better worker because he will work so hard to provide. But if you are not going to bring in the music and the sweetness that you provide out there, it is going to be hard in the home. The Bible says, if you are a man or a lion male, it says in Proverbs 5:18, it says, enjoy with the wife of your youth. Enjoy with the wife of your youth, unless her breast satisfy you always. The Bible says, basically meaning that you need to choose to be happy in the house, choose to be happy in the home. This is to be a little heaven on earth. The next point is pettiness. Pettiness, I have already mentioned here, little things that destroy more than the greatest earthquake. If this person is petty, they want to know everybody who came in here while they were away. They want to know who called and what they said. Not because they really care, but they are feeling so insecure that if somebody came here, they just think either you are talking about them or these people came to do something bad. So I want to say here, you don't have to be unnecessarily insecure. Trust your mate. Trust is important. We'll talk about that later. The next point is inattention. Relationships begin to decline when there is lack of attention, when there is lack of common interest. The amazing thing is that those things that drew us together, the things that drew us during courtship, are sometimes the things that divide us today, the things that divide, bring in a wall between us. So you need to understand where the wall is coming from, the crack is coming from, or the leakage is coming from. Then there is lack of meaningful communication. There are people who choose to go nail by mouth for weeks, for months, and for years. I think the longest nail by mouth that I have ever met and worked with is 8 years. The same house, the same roof, no good morning, no how are you. And a sad experience was this couple that was nailed by mouth for 3 days. The man was sick, lying out there, but the lady didn't know that he was sick, just sleeping on his side of the bed. And the lady sleeping on her side of the bed. She woke up, went to work, came back, the man was still sleeping. The second day, she came back, the man was still sleeping. And then she asked the house help, did Baba so-and-so come downstairs? No. She just went. And then she wondered, this man, since I saw him the other day, is still sleeping the same side. Has not even changed. No movement at all. So she decided to stretch her leg just a little bit to feel if the man was okay, only to discover that the man was as cold as ice. The man had died over 72 hours ago. How do you explain that to the man's mother or to his brothers or even to the police? This issue that we call that nail by mouth is so destructive. I wonder, people who go nail by mouth, if they pray. You go and pray in your room, and this other one prays in the sitting room, or the other one prays in the kitchen to the same God. No, that is not right. So inattention, relationship will begin to decline if there is no meaningful communication. And we have also mentioned here that avoiding the presence of your mate is unacceptable. Then the next point I want to mention is reckless behavior. Lack of commitment to a relationship that can lead to reckless behavior. Involving risky behavior. Placing oneself in compromising situations. I want to stress this point. Know the time you are vulnerable to temptation. Time and place. Don't think that immorality could never happen to you. Be on guard. When you are tempted, look beyond the temptation to the consequences. A young girl came from school one day and said to the mother, Mommy, I have a new friend in school and she looks exactly like me. And the mother said, that's okay. People look alike. And she said, Mommy, I will bring my friend home one day. And of course, one day, this girl made an arrangement and she came home with her friend. The school bus dropped them there, and then the mother would drop the girl to her place. That was the arrangement. And when the new girl came to visit, Mary, I will call her that, the mother looked at that child and looked at her daughter and said, hey, these ones, are they identical twins? And the daughter looked exactly like the father. And the father was sleeping upstairs, of course, and then she went to the father and said, Daddy, Mary has brought a friend here, and this friend looks exactly like you. Would you come and see this girl? And the husband said, get out of here. Since when did I see Mary's friends? Okay. So it went on like that. At the end of the visit, of course, Mary's mom dropped the girl. And then as the friendship continued, one church day, they decided that they would go to church together. So Mary came and told the mother, would you please, let's pass by my friend's place and we can go to church together. And of course, she did. The gate was open, the girl was ready, they went to church, they came back and she brought the girl back. And when she brought the girl back, of course, she decided, let me go and meet this Mary's friend, because it is not right for me to take this girl without meeting the parent. And so she went in, and when she walked in there, she saw a familiar car. And she said, "What is this car doing here?" She knocked the door, of course, and it was the husband who opened the opened the door. Of course, when the husband saw Mary and the wife, he became very unruly and chased them away. And she had to run back to the pastor and said, "Come and help me solve a riddle here." Of course, the pastor and the principal elder came and said, "Brother so-and-so, and what's going on?" He said, "I have always had 2 wives. This one was in another town. It was costly for me. Now I decided to bring them here. And so how about this one?" He said, "That's upon her. She wants to stay, she can stay. If she doesn't want to stay, the door is open." I want to say to all of us, don't think that immorality could never happen to you. Be on guard. Know when you are tempted, look beyond your temptation to the consequences. The next point is constant conflict. There are people who are forever fighting. Even in this time and age, people can physically fight. And there are those who fight verbally, emotionally, financially, whatever. So here, constant conflict can be over parenting, over relatives, friends, job, career, even telephone. Some people cannot even put their phones down for fear that something is going to be discovered. So wherever they go, they carry their phone. They have become completely slaves to their phones. Lack of intimacy. Some people are sick for a whole year, and yet they never go to the doctor's office. These are some of the challenges that affect marriage. The next one is financial conflict. Money is power. And people who earn more money want to control the money, not only the money, but even the people. People who bring in more money. And that is where the real problem is, that if there is a division of labor where the man has got his money and the wife has got her money, and then it is my money. If I'm a lady, my money is mine, for me, myself, and I. But for the husband, it's for all of us. That becomes a serious challenge. Money gives us status. People know you by the things you buy, the things you own, and so on and so forth. And you find that in some places, as I have said, where money is divided, it's no longer family money, it is just my money and your money. You can find that the other person is overwhelmed, paying either for mortgage, paying or rent or car or school fees or whatever. But the lady's money is my money for myself. I can do whatever I want. And so you can find that there are ladies who have got the chamas all over, and they buy things all over with the chamas. And they can even travel to Dubai when there is no school fees to pay for the children because the husband is overwhelmed. Money is power. And money makes one independent. And it reaches up to a point where one can say, I don't need you. And these days, I hear it's very common. I don't only hear, but I meet such people where ladies say, let me go and try what is out there for 3 months. And after I have decided whether I want to come back, I will come back. And if I don't want to come back, I will let you know. Maybe 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year. Yeah. I don't need you because of money. Lack of money brings dependence. People who don't have more money are reduced to begging, as it were, because money is divided in the home. Money and stress normally go hand in hand. We always blame people when the money run out. But I want to say that even though money isn't an essential thing in life, a significant portion of your life and my life will revolve around earning, saving, giving, and spending money. So our relationship with money isn't something we can just brush aside as unspiritual or unnecessary. Financial management is 80% behavior and 20% head knowledge. I have already said here, it is not what you make that makes you wealthy, but what you do with what you make. So it is important that we control our money without our money controlling us. Financial management is the process of wisely budgeting, spending, saving, and investing the money you earn. Managing money is an important part of being in a relationship. Finances can affect the health of our relationship. Couples who communicate openly about money tend to be happier and more stable in their relationships. Couples who struggle with financial issues often have increased stress and tension in their relationship, especially where financial roles are divided, even as I have said, my money is my money, your money is for all of us. So winning with money is no accident. No one wins without paying the price to win. You are in control of your financial destiny. You have to control yourself. A few tips. Identify money habits and attitudes. You and your spouse will be more likely to handle financial discussions and conflict in healthy ways if you both want to have a good understanding and developing or establishing healthy habits. So prioritize spending and live within your means. Living within your means, of course, requires that you spend less than you earn. To do this, you need to sit down with your spouse to discuss your household needs. Needs, not what is desired. Track and reduce expenses while following a budget. Many people, when you talk about money and budgeting, many people will say, how can I budget? The money is not enough, so I can't budget. Everybody budgets. People think that when you have so much money is when you can budget, but all of us, we budget, even if you have 100 shillings. When we talk about money down here, we say if you have 100 shillings, you will need to spend only 70. If you have 1,000 shillings, you spend 700. 100, you give God tithe. 50 shillings, you give free will offering. 50 shillings, you give to the needy, because the Bible says you will open your hand wide to the needy in your land. And then while you are budgeting with this 1,000 shillings, whether it is your income, a weekly income, or daily income, or whatever, and you are going to use it, you will also need to give a budget to your wife. Then you will give a monthly allowance to your husband. The fact that you are married does not mean that you cannot have free money. It is crucial that each one of us, you have something that you call your money. So it is not the money that you have worked for that you say your money. You bring that together and it becomes family money. So when during the time of your budgeting, that is when you give monthly allowance to your wife. It doesn't matter whether it is only 10 shillings. So if you have only 1,000 and you give 100, you return 100 tithe, 50 shillings free will offering, 50 shillings you give for the needy, and 50 shillings daddy will take that one as his monthly allowance or weekly allowance, and mommy 30 shillings, and then the 20 shillings out of the 300, out of the 7, that you save. Then the 700 that remains, now that becomes for your need. It is crucial. And I always say that as a man in the house, you should never stay without any money on you. And as a lady at home, you should never stay without any money on you. I'm not talking about the money that has been budgeted for food or for rent or for school or for transport or for your hair as a lady and for the oil that you use. Everything that you use in the house is budgeted for. But this allowance that I'm talking about is your free money that you can use at will without giving any accountability. But I always tell people, I tell ladies, the fact that you have money, you don't have to use it. Keep that 30 shillings, keep that 50 shillings. You don't have to use it. Keep it for a rainy day. It will help you tomorrow. Kidogo kidogo hujaza kibaba. That is still true. So you keep this one here, it will help you tomorrow. It builds up. And that leads me to saying that it is important that we establish emergency fund. Emergency fund that will help you. But emergency fund will help you if you understand your budget. You have emergency fund, you can have emergency fund for about 6 months or 1 year if you are able. And this one will help you. If there is any emergency, sickness, death, or whatever, it can quickly reach out to help you. If you have any need, you borrow from your emergency fund and then you return. That is out there. But I have also learned by experience that it is good also to have some emergency fund, hard cash in the house. Not just the ATM, because sometimes the networks are not there. Sometimes you may not reach out there, but you need to have some money, hard cash in the house. That is when, if a neighbor comes knocking in the dead of the night, as Jesus said, then you can reach out and help your neighbor. Or I learned by experience during the attempted coup those many years ago that it is crucial that you have hard cash. So if you have some hard cash in the house and there is emergency, there is need, you can quickly reach out to that and you can quickly escape to wherever you are going. So stop wasting money, put every cent to waste, but perseverance, hard work, and commitment will lead to success. A few points as I close on this topic. People who are successful with their money take personal responsibility for their money decisions. They know their success is up to them and they own it. Second point, they practice intentionality with their finances. They live less on what they make, exercising discipline on their budgeting. Third, they are goal-oriented. They think ahead and refuse to be swept away by the current of life. And fourth, they are hard workers. Of course, Kenyans are always hard workers. They do what it takes, even when what it takes is not easy. And finally, they are consistent. Consistency is crucial here. The last point in my presentation here tonight, don't be overly committed to other things outside the home. Love your family, love your wife, love your children. Financial bondage leads to spiritual problems. When liabilities are excessive, that becomes a problem. When payment is passed and we fail to honor our financial obligations, when our total assets are less than our total liabilities, then there is a challenge. When our income is less than our expenses, then we are in a problem. May the Lord help us that we'll know how to manage the resources that He has given us. Finally, I want to close by looking at Acts 12. I will not read all of it, but at your own free time, you can read Acts 12 verses 1 to 12. This is an experience where there's persecution in Jerusalem, and Herod has arrested James, and he has killed James with a sword. And it pleased the Jews that he killed James. And so he went ahead and arrested Peter, but the church prayed for Peter. And so Herod had planned that after the Passover feast, then he would bring Peter out and then he would kill him. And so he took Peter and put in under the care of 16 guards. On the night when Peter was going to be killed the next day, Peter was quietly sleeping, very soundly sleeping. He slept so peacefully that even the guards that he was tied with did not have any problem because he did not turn over, toast over. He slept so peacefully, in fact, that even when the angel came to wake him up, the brightness of the angel did not wake him up until the angel touched him. And then the angel told him to get up. The church prayed constantly for Peter, and the power of God was realized. I want to say, the challenges that we are faced with are overwhelming, and many of us are in prison. We could be in prison whether we are in church or whether we are at home. But here, Peter is in prison, the church is praying, and God's power was exercised. The difference here is that understanding God's power and God's providence. This is where the real challenge of Christianity is. That when the church prayed for James, James was killed. The church prayed for Peter, and Peter is delivered. Maybe you have a challenge in your home that you have been praying for a long time, and God has not answered you. And so you may be wondering whether God really hears your prayer, or whether this power of God is limited only to some people. I look at two people in the church. They are both educated. The church is praying for them as young people. They are looking for employment. One gets employment, and the other one waits for a long time. He waits for a long time that he has very little money even to pay for his rent, even to buy food for his children. And sometimes the people who are blessed in church may look around and say, huyu hata tumechoka na yeye. Ameomba sana, wachana na yeye. The blessed ones can say, leave that one alone. Maybe these two are praying. They are looking for mates. One gets a better mate, very good one, very committed to the church. The other one gets not so committed. And you wonder, is God's power divided? No. I look at the life of Paul. I may not go into detail, but the point that I am bringing out here, that there are times when God allows challenges to come into our lives. But whatever the challenge that you may be experiencing tonight, whether it is in prison of money, whether it is relationship, or whatever the prison that is holding you and tying you, whether it is a self-made prison or whether it is something beyond your control, I want to say that God has a master key. Even as that angel came to Peter and told Peter, Peter, get up, dress up, put on your garment, tie your shoes. And when Peter was ready, he said, follow me. The amazing thing is that the angel did not dress up Peter. He told Peter to dress up himself. And after Peter had dressed up himself, he told him, follow me. There are things that God will not do for us. We must make a decided decision, effort to do it. God is not going to read the word that he has provided. We must personally take time to read, study the word of God, and take time to pray. Take time to reach out to others. So whatever the prison that you may find yourself in today, God has a master key. He will open that door. And if God has blessed you, recognize God's blessing. For those who are still waiting for God's blessing to come, don't think that God is not seeing. He will come. His timing is not our timing. He will come at his own right time. So keep on waiting and keep on praying. At the beginning of the Christian journey, there is a promise. Let not your heart be troubled. At the end of the journey, is a possession. But between the promise and the possession is the process. It is within this process where our character must be developed. And when God's providence prevails over his power, he is doing it in order for us to develop our character. So don't confuse the providence and also the power. Let us trust God, not because of his power, but let us trust him because of his love for us. And may the Lord bless all our homes tonight.